Alrighty, server is kind of having some technical difficulties, so if this video gets cut up into multiple pieces, you guys know why. Anyway, I wanted to make the summary video tonight on all the encapsulated lore that kind of happened before I started recording. But yeah. In any case, let's kind of just get straight into it. This is the first event of the Center lore. Oh, I'm getting a bunch of error messages. Can't find animation for death, right? I've never had these mods on here. Anyway, I suppose ignoring that until the server decides to throw up. The adventures were requested by Voss, a strange man infected by skulk that covered his arm, or his left arm. Let's see if I can't remember. Aha! Not sure why there was a string right there. By a strange man, his left arm infected by skulk. If you haven't watched one of the recent videos, his quote-unquote cancer got significantly worse since then. I should probably wear the old skin, but I don't think it works on the server anymore. In any case, before they could even ponder, you know, basically just the strangeness of this man, Voss informed them that they were going to be taking a leap of faith in the cube. If you're not familiar with this area, this is the office. Majority of all lore kind of started right here. But yeah. But they would be taking a leap of faith in order to reach a city that had not been accessed in a millennia. This is the Underforge. This is the cube. What's left of it. Since Season 1, the center has been abandoned. It's not really mentioned in lore, but the guy who runs the bank is known as Steve, like the 78th or something. He is a direct descendant of Steve, the guy you see on the game title. This was here before that. The the new Spider-Man movie came out as we did lore. The latter was not here. But in order to reach this ancient city, one that was not seen for a millennia, they would take a leap of faith. The first would be CJ, a cave dweller overly confident in his ability to take on the ancient ruins, dived headfirst into the horde to come. Next was Warned, a half-warden, or so it seemed. He would actually turn out to be a warden prince. It doesn't get discussed at all in lore, at least not recently, but that is coming. He was ready to reunite with his brethren in the deep. Thirdly was Bread. I've been invited by CJ. It's strange he wants to communicate with me after leaving. In any case, Bread was cautious of the danger to come. He leapt in third. And lastly was me, Voss, who fell behind all the rest. Once in the deep, Warned would warn everyone that they strange creatures known as wardens could detect sounds and would just about kill you instantly. At this point, all of the adventurers were wearing enchanted iron armor. They would, well, we would all delve into the city, clearing shriekers as we went, and kind of just go through every little bit, lighting it up just a little bit more, taking our time, as we thought we only had one life, and that was one life we did not want to lose. Unfortunately, CJ would slip and fall, incurring the wrath of one warden. The warden would basically instantly kill him. The next would be Bread. As he was searching through a chest, another warden basically just popped out and beat him to death. And then after that, a warden would be following Warned around. You know, they're just chatting and whatnot. And Warned, you know, not thinking about it, would lead him to directly bump into me, leading to my first death. Now, at the start of the video, you would have noticed the beacons. Originally, there were 4. Each me, CJ, and Bread would spawn back at the beacon. Or beacons, rather. And a white light would envelop all of us. We would hear a voice that would say, "Your work is not finished, and you must return to the center." Each of us would wake up on this beacon of light, startled and confused, as they realized we were, you know, still alive. CJ, in his haste to blame, punches Bread, blaming him for his fall, and kind of just beginning to fight amongst everyone. In retaliation, I would shoot him with my bow, which at that point was power 5. So it basically just killed him instantly. For CJ, the voice would repeat, and he would wake up on the beacon. They would all, we would all take this as a sign that we were immortal. And just go back into the deep, raiding it as much as we needed, knowing that no matter what spawned or what lurked, death was no longer permanent. Would go through lighting everything up, as you see. Warned could only watch as his brethren were pushed back farther into the darkness. But Voss would finally make his way. Can't remember if I decided on it being... I either found it in the smaller section in here, or when I went down here as this part was open. I think I found it on the upper level. Regardless, I would find a spell that would allow me to reignite the portals to hell, or in this case, the nether. And that would be the end of event 1. And now for event 2. Having found the spell required to reignite the nether portals across the land, Voss would once again call upon adventurers to come help him. I set up a little base up here, And these item frames were all that were needed to reopen. Well, the item frames and the items inside. The adventurers to show up. Oh, yeah, I also forgot. Um, let's see. Dread, Vixen, and Aiden arrived right around the time we died in the first event, and basically heard us screaming, so decided not to go down there. That's what happened in canon. Out of canon, they didn't show up to the event. Aiden and Vixen would never show up to the events ever again. No idea what happened to one of them. The other one decided he did not want to do events or hang out with anyone on the server. So, carrying on from that, the adventurers who would show up were Bread, Warned, and Dread. And Dread would kind of show up, kind of surprised that everybody was still alive, wanting an explanation, but before he could get one, Voss was like, "Hey, I need you to get me blaze powder, a blaze rod, a gas tier, and magma cream, all of which can be found in the cave." So they would travel up here, where they would find nether creatures hiding amongst the rocks, and also find endermen, floating golden swords, and elder wardens. But the elder wardens wouldn't strike first. Originally, this went all the way up. But in any case, Dread would find 3 of the items, basically everything but the blaze powder, and would immediately head back to the area where we all met up in. That's right under the ancient city portal, as people call it, leaving Warned and Bread to find the remaining blaze powder. It was up here guarded by floating golden swords. They would find out that the floating golden swords were indeed not floating golden swords, and were actually just pigmen who, strangely, were invisible. It was actually an effect brought on by the Elder Wardens, who are basically regular wardens that people don't have a description of because they're invisible. So they could be bigger, they could be smaller. But either way, they hit the same, they hurt the same, and you have no idea where they are. But as they grabbed the blaze powder, they would hear a shriek from the Elder Warden. And as Dread was looking for Voss, because Voss had headed back up into the office to go to another portal he had constructed, he would not notice the Elder Wardens had spawned within the city again, which is why lights were soon installed down here. He would run away, going over here, confused. He would run back up here, go back over here, would get hit by one, run back all the way over here. These gates were closed, and he would hide right here. And all 3 Elder Wardens would converge and kill him, leading him to respawn on a beacon, hear the voice, and be bewildered as fuck. And as soon as they took out Dread, they immediately went for Bread. Bread could not get away. He was at the base of this ladder, if I remember correctly, and he died. Then he would spawn on the beacons with Dread and kind of explain, hey, we're immortal. But after coming back up, And at this point, there was indeed a ladder. Um, the trio would find Voss standing in front of the portals with lighters. And as you notice, one of these soul campfires are no longer lit. I don't know why these are lit. They're not, one of these is not supposed to be lit. Give me 1 second. One of these is actually... Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Alright. Anyway, as they all converged in this room, they would find Voss and these 3 fires. These other campfires were not yet created, and you couldn't even see this portal. It was just a wall of lava. Or, rather than a wall, it was more like a little lake. And they would light these campfires, making all of them, all 4 of them, the horsemen of the Nether. This would all grant them abilities that they would not know about, and for whatever reason, nobody but me would use. Like, they would, the abilities would activate if they were ever in peril, and they were like, I need help. But none of them ever felt like they were in need of help, except me. So I was the only one with the using the ability. But as soon as the campfires were lit, the lava receded, becoming just a wall right here. We would travel into the Nether for a little bit and collect blaze rods. As Voss said, he needed them for, quote unquote, the cure. And I am going to make sure I'm still recording. Brilliant. I've tried to do this video about 3 other times, and it got corrupted one time, and I had accidentally ended the video within the first 2 minutes of the second time. So, yeah. But yeah. In any case, in the next few days, as Voss kind of just told them, I'll call you if I need any more help, the adventurers all got a letter in the mail saying, hey, I'm looking for some adventurers to compete in a little event called Total Drama Minecraft. Yes, it is kind of a ripoff of Total Drama Island. Speaking of which, to the Canadian filmmakers, I did not make any money off of this event, nor was it recorded. So, yeah. In any case, 2 factions would form from this. And even though they were originally just meant to be like sponsored teams, they would end up becoming not countries, but both of them would want to take over everything. But the competition would go as follows. CJ would join the Templars, which was sponsored by Voss, and Warned would join the Anarchists, which was sponsored by himself. Eric, a new contender from a strange dimension where America was ruled by fascists. So basically, if the Brotherhood of Steel won, but with no power armor. And Yashiro, another Warden Prince, and the brother of Warned. Though neither one of them would remember this information at the time, both of them, just Warned, thinking they were both half-Wardens. They would argue and debate for a little bit, but eventually the match would begin. The uh, the entire event was ran by a little moss folk. If you're not aware with what that is, uh, it is based off the German moss folk, but it was a little old man who looked like he was in his 80s. I might be able to actually just maybe. Hold up, I chose the wrong one. Market? No, it's dressing room. I'm an idiot. Hold up. In any case, this guy's name would be Chris McLean. Oh, okay. I don't know what's happening with the skins right here, but that's not how they're supposed to look. Okay, well, uh, maybe I'll make it the thumbnail. But it was a little old man named Cross McLean. Cross. Like CHRAS. I accidentally changed skins. Hold the fuck up. There we go. Uh, basically a little guy with wings who could potentially spread plague amongst everyone. But the first challenge in this event was a leap of faith. There used to be a block right here that they had to jump off of, but I can't remember who broke it. But let's see. The Templars would go first. They would both try and get it from the very top. Both of them would fail spectacularly and miss the water. The goal of this objective is literally just to do this. Well, not that. Basically, that's what they did. They missed it just slightly. Yashiro would also do the exact same thing as them, missing. And then Warned would be like, I don't need to go all the way up there. I'll just go from right here. He didn't fuck up like I just did, but you get the point. The next challenge would be a cave race. They would have to go all the way through here. Each team got 2 potions of night vision. They had to follow the sea lanterns down here. Reading in between the lines, Eric would realize, oh shit, I'm allowed to kill people. About right here, he would throw Warned. They actually fucking marked it. This is where Eric knocked Warned into the lava during Total Drama Minecraft. And he would get to the finish line first. However, the rule stated both members had to make it to this finish line. If it's still over here, it is. Eric would make it first, then it would be Warned, and then it would be Yashiro. You'll notice throughout a majority of the first season, it comes down to not Eric and Warned beating each other, but their teammates beating the other teammates. But CJ would come in last, leading the Anarchist to have 2 points versus the Templar 0. At the same time that this event was going on, Minecraft had been updated to where boats no longer required you to build shovels to craft them. But their objective was to go and craft a boat to take down these rapids. There was not fire here originally, and all of these buildings were also not here originally. These are later season things. I'll probably do another video going over them. But they had to get to right here. They had to take a boat down the rapids, and then they could get right here however else they needed to. Once again, Eric, reading in between the lines, would craft a sword. So Eric would get there first. But before Warned and Yashiro could even possibly get up onto the platform, he killed them both, securing 1 point for the Templars. In this next event, it would be the only one where you were specifically not able to kill the opposing team. They would have to swim or take their previously made boats all the way over to this finish line. Eric and Warned would get here about the same time, as they were smart enough to bring a boat. Yashiro and CJ would once again fall behind. I don't know why the teammates didn't stick together, but they should have. And somehow they both drowned. To this day, I still have no idea how they both drowned, but they did. But both Eric and Warren would go back for their teammates. CJ would somehow drown again, leading to another victory for the Anarchists. So it would now be 3-1. There are 7 events. There are 7 challenges. Sorry. Ignore the gravestones. Next would be an archery challenge. Eric and CJ would absolutely fucking destroy the Anarchist. The Anarchist got like a total of 9 points altogether. Each time they hit a block would be 1 point. And the Templars got 14 or 15. I stopped counting after they hit like 12, but I think they hit all but like 1. And there are 10 targets, so I think overall they got 18, maybe 17. Either way, they would win. It would make the score 2-3. And by this point, CJ would pass the fuck out. Now, anytime you hear the character passed out or they got knocked out, that means they disconnected from the server and were not able to get back on. Or they had a technical difficulty. So it would become Eric versus the Anarchist. The next challenge would be a boxing match, which basically just consisted of Eric fighting Warned barehanded with no armor. By the skin of his teeth, Eric would pull through. He actually gets thrown out of the ring, but as he was not dead, he was able to hop back into the ring like a WWE match and finish the job. It would now be tied 3-3, and it would lead to the last event, which would be a lightly geared battle. Originally, it was going to be a 2v2, but since there were no longer enough people, it ended up being a 1v1. Once again, Warned would fight Eric. Each would be given leather armor, a bow, 5 arrows, I think 1 enchanted golden apple, a wooden sword, shield, and a stone axe. I might still have some of the gear down here. No, I don't. In any case, it would lead to one of the most epic little battles, like 1v1 battles ever. Same rules applied. If you got thrown out of the ring, you could just hop back in. So Eric and Warren fought. They fought for probably 10 minutes. And eventually, while trying to hit Eric's shield, Warren would get thrown out of the ring. I think like right over here. And he would jump back up here and attempt to jump back in. And in midair, as he was going over the fence, Eric pulls out his bow, uses his last arrow while he's on like 2 hearts, and kills Warned, winning the Total Drama Minecraft event. And as the Nether was just recently opened, not many people had Netherite. So the reward was an upgrade template, a few blocks of Netherite, and some lore advice. Because there were 2 options. He could just take like a straight reward of Netherite, or he could get a lore reward. And the lore reward gave him more shit and advice for stuff to do for his character. Canonically, it's like having clairvoyance. Originally, there were I think they all got blown up. Yeah. There were chests right here, which had the rewards. But that would be the end of the third event, which was Total Drama Minecraft. Alright, let's check the video. It's doing good. How long have I been recording? I can't fucking see it. 31 minutes. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm gonna try and speedrun this, I promise. Anyway, after meeting at the Total Drama Minecraft event, forgot to mention, CJ is a half warden, half pigman, I believe, or was. Anyway, after that, CJ, Yoshiro, and Warned would meet up and go to Warned's country. And I think I'll spend a majority of the rest of the video over there. But they would go over there, and this would all be Warned's side lore. And they would find that in character, their views were completely aligned. They wanted the same thing. They didn't want government. And they just wanted to get a disc at that current moment. So, and this is one of Eric's bars, if you haven't seen it already. They would build a massive country. There was a Technoblade statue here, but as a practical joke, at some point, probably 2 months ago, a mod wanted to fuck with someone and then set off the TNT, and I couldn't get it back up. And by that point, all of the fucking anarchists were basically gone anyway. So we never bothered to fix it. But in any case, they would meet, they would go to the Nether, countering many challenges that inhabited Hell, and grab a Pixet disc. They would have traveled through 3 different bastions looking for this disc. And then, only then, would they finally find it. But the next side event would happen, which would be Voss sending Eric a letter that says, "We need to speak." Very ominous, had no indication as to where they would meet, but Eric just kind of showed up and was like, "Hey, I got your letter." But Voss would say, "Before anything, let's get you armored." And I had a sort of like a Technoblade remembrance bit where I took him into a secret room that I had created because I had been grinding for months, and I had a shit ton of netherite armor, so many wither skulls, I think 15 nether stars, just completely geared out. But Eric would get geared up, and Voss would pull out a disc and explain it was the recording of who he believed to be the sealer of the portals. This character has not been disclosed beyond that, but he is a very important part to lore. It is also possibly the voice of who's been reviving people. out of character he is. I say out of character, but spoilers ahead, I guess is a better term. If you've never heard it, it is disc 5. I am not going to play it because it is very loud and kind of long. So if you've not heard it, I recommend booting up Minecraft and uh, popping in. And if that doesn't work, search it on YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's a guy, or what sounds like a guy, running through a an ancient city area. You hear wardens, and then you hear a portal igniting and a portal closing. There's also a bit of earlier stuff where you can hear like wardens marching or an army marching. But this is what I wrote. Many things were heard, but one thing was clear from the recording. Armies rose and fell against the wardens. Cities burned and fell silent. The sealer would build the portal, activating and deactivating it all at once. They would end and yeah, that's basically the grand summary. Eric and Voss would discuss the anarchist and how they had basically been traveling together, how CJ joined them officially, and they were all living in this big mansion sort of house. And they had taken over this entire town, forcing all of the residents to go into this building where they seem to have actually recongregated by themselves. There was an event that took place off screen that was not in season 1. It was called the Sneeze, and it's where one of the mods accidentally killed everything that they had loaded in. So they had killed all the villagers. But I respawned them, and in lore, basically villagers migrated back after this country was annexed. But anyway, Voss would call the anarchists demons of an unholy nature, and decided he wouldn't work against them until the time came and they started raiding fortresses. Fortresses in this matter refer to ancient monuments that are all custom built. Originally, this pyramid did not look like this, but there are a few structures out in the world they had to conquer in order to win a war, which I'll go over more later. Voss would also take this moment to explain his infection. Uh, Voss had tried everything. He had tried burning it off. He had tried peeling it off. He even dipped it into lava and it regrew, referring to his skulk infection. The dark infection you see on this character was not all that prevalent, or did Voss care? But yeah, he would also even go as far as to cut it off. So bro cut off his entire arm, hoping the infection would stop. It actually grew worse and started creeping up to his shoulder. After he did that, his infected part of the arm also grew back. I do have a direct quote, but I'm not gonna repeat it because that's basically what I just said. After this, Warned would have another bit of side lore. Also, that reminds me, if I say side lore, it means it didn't happen on a designated day like main lore typically happens, which means that I might not have even been there for it. Uh, Warned would do another bit of side lore where CJ and Yoshiro hadn't seen him for 2 days. They didn't know where to even start looking for him, but then he just appeared. He was back at their base. And he was super excited. more than they had ever even seen him. They He basically grabbed onto both of them and said, "We're going on an adventure to find a treasure," and they went along with it. And as they went out, they would kind of talk about the Templars, the Deep, and the Nether. But whenever they reached a birch forest, way off into the distance, obviously, they the mood would basically shift. They would become much more serious, and warned basically told them, "Hey, this might be dangerous because we're searching for an ancient artifact." It would be something he would not tell them about or what they were even looking for. They would find more discs, they would find pottery shards and armor trims. Uh, they were basically searching through like suspicious gravel and such. But then he would find something, and if you've seen what is listed as like season end or something, basically the first ever video I was able to record, uh, Warren throws something into a fire. This is the thing that he throws into the fire. It is Kronos's open and Kronos's close, if I remember correctly. And by burning one of them, he could close the end off to only a minute few. So basically, him, the Ender Dragon, and Enderman were the only ones who would be able to transfer into the end and into the overworld. And yeah, so basically, end access would be cut off for a majority of the server. And by this point, we hadn't even opened the end. It should also be noted if Warren made a blood pact with somebody, they would also gain access to the end. And anyone who made a blood pact with them, and so on. But yeah. Anyway, eventually, a day of conquest would arrive. The day in which it would be basically discovered that both the anarchists and the Templars wanted to rule and not have the other one dominate the land. So it would be decided that whoever captures all of the ancient fortresses first would ultimately gain full control over the server, rather, and be able to create a country out of the lands. The anarchists would move quickly, but ineffectively. The requirements were to place banners down and clear any mob spawners. They failed to do all three. This event would take 2 days to basically go over. So, just in case you're wondering, that's why the story gets kind of wacky right here. Out of lore, I realized they had fucked up, and they would then have to defend one of the areas with a handicap, because even though they had gotten to a bunch of places first, they had failed to successfully fully capture all of the bases they went to. But the bases they went to were that pyramid, the Necromancer Mountain, which is basically a witch's hut surrounded by like janky little walls that led down into this deep, dark cave. I'm not going to show it because I'll show it later. This is not where I wanted to go. Glowberry Acres. Anyway. On the Templar side, they would go and capture the river fortress. At this point, it would just be Akira and Voss. Akira would have been a new character. They also would proceed to stop showing up to events, and then it would be later found out that they were faking their identity, faking their gender, and also doing a bunch of other shit, which we didn't agree with. Like full voice mod and everything. So that was weird. But anyway, Voss would basically solo the river fortress, and Eric, Tyrannus, Dread, and Bread would take on the pillagers who were stationed at the coastal chapel, which was another monument, which is New Jerusalem. You would have seen it in one of the other videos, but again, I'll go over all the locations in another video. But Voss and everyone would do their part and just get ready to move out. Dread, I believe it was Dread, Bread, and Eric, they would feel confident enough to just go ahead and go to the monastery. They would get there, and in lore, Bread, Dread, and Eric would be defeated and kind of like retreat and regroup before trying to take over the monastery, because CJ and Warned would already be at that fortress. All right, now here's the out of character bits. I would make them defend against us, where we had already developed basically something Eric called the Oppenheimer. This is what happened after him firing at one time. It was like 3 blocks wide, 4x2, roughly. But we would fire it, and yeah, basically a whole lot of bullshit happened right here. They didn't bring beds. They were pissed off that they lost. Boo-hoo, so sad. In any case, the monastery war, or rather the monastery battle, would come to a close right here. This is back in lore talk. Voss would head in by himself. I don't know why I keep referring to myself in the third person. And see both Warned and CJ right up here. I would go in invisible. I had ender pearls. I forgot to bring like gapples and totems, and they were stacked on them, and I did not realize that. And basically went in here, almost killed CJ. Dealt a little bit of damage on Warned, I think, and had to retreat. I also had like 15 invisible dogs. But basically wouldn't be able to do enough damage before almost dying myself, and would have to retreat. While I'm doing that, Eric was building that cannon over there. Oh my god, I completely forgot about Eric's speech. Before we even went there, Eric gave a speech. I'm pretty sure it's like his own version of the same speech Hitler gave. I didn't realize it at the time. It was either Hitler or a fucking Italian guy. No, I think it was Hitler. Comrades, we are gathered here today for a purpose to unite all the people of this realm under one rule. To do this, we must not sit idle and watch as the world moves on without us. No, we must fight. He who would live must fight. He who doesn't wish to fight in this world will sit idle. where the permanent struggle is the law of life. He who doesn't wish to fight in this world and sit idle, where permanent struggle is the law of life, has no right to exist at all. My bad. Uh, you may be wary of winning this war, but fear not, we have a weapon capable of mass destruction that will help us win. The Oppenheimer. I ask you to lend this realm. I ask you to lend me your strength before we go to battle and unite this realm under one order, one army, one people. As a marshal and a proud Templar, I enter this battle against the anarchist with a stout heart. I ask you, do you as well? He waits for a yes. Everybody says yes. Then let us charge forward and win this war for our country, for the Templar Order. Long ass speech. Eric, you're going to be pissed off I fucked that up, but it is what it is. I'm not recording this another time. Anyway, let me check and make sure the video is actually still recording. It seems to be, which is good. Anyway, going back, Eric was setting up the Oppenheimer while I was attacking. And I was basically doing a lot of guerrilla warfare during this entire fight. Tyrannus would... oh yeah, let me step out of character here real quick. How this war worked is you were given 3 lives. If all 3 of your lives were used up, you died canonically. At this point, we didn't have a set number of canonical lives. You just were no longer able to participate in the lore because technically you were respawning all the way over there. But back in the lore, CJ would kill Tyrannus after falling off by a parapet. By the way, if you don't know what a parapet is, it's just this fucking area right here. He would fall off, chase Tyrannus down, and kill him. I would be over here. I would see that happen. And it would be at that point that I full killed him. After coming up here and chasing him around, Warned would chase me around for a little bit. I did not full die, but I was knocked. We'll say knocked. One time. Warned would then have to kind of resort to guerrilla tactics because at that point it would be me, Bread. Oh, no, I took a second to hide in a hole to repair my armor. I think it was like right over here somewhere. But as I look for it, Bread, Dread, and Eric would then turn their attention onto him because he started breaking the Oppenheimer, which obviously didn't Eric didn't like too much. And oh yeah, I almost forgot. Yashiro was not understanding where the monastery was the entire time, so he was in the event, he just didn't know where to go. Even though I set up sea lanterns guiding him everywhere, he didn't know where to go. And that was one of the main reasons not the Templars, the anarchists were aggravated. But fuck them. In any case, oh yeah, it is also in this event, whenever I full kill CJ, I actually full kill him. I use a spell which rips his soul in half on accident. The spell was supposed to send him home. My objective was to send him back to his base. But because of the spell's thing, it was trying to send half of his soul to a different dimension and half of his soul to the nether. So yeah. Yeah, he is technically full dead, but if he wanted to rejoin war, he definitely could. But CJ would not appear in lore at all from this point on. Warned would fight everybody else, but eventually his armor would break, and I would join back in, and it would basically be over for the anarchist. Yoshiro would finally find his way back over here, and wishing for a glorious death to rejoin his comrades. Uh, well, temporary death rather. He wanted to fight both me and Dread, and or not me and Dread, me and Bread, and Bread fought him for a little bit, and then I fought him for a little bit and killed him. Uh, I would then go back upstairs to see Dread just kind of like setting TNT to everything. And then I wasn't even paying attention, but he, as he sets it off, he's like, Voss, get out of the way, and punches me off, off of the thing onto the ground, avoiding the explosion. But, yeah, that would be the end of, what is this, like the 5th event of the first season or something? 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever. End of the Monastery War. I might make this into a 2-parter because it's kind of getting a little long. Fuck it, nah, it'll be alright. This is just gonna be a long video. Again, I apologize. So I'll try and make it faster. Anyway, Templars win. We hold a nice little election. The anarchists are pardoned by my character before he kind of just lets everybody else vote on a new government. This is what this structure right here was originally made for. And it would end up with Tyrannus winning the election and creating the state of Glowberry Acres, which, if you've watched any of my videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, it is. It's also discussed that there's also a discussion that happens before this where Warned and Voss kind of come to an understanding. Voss didn't even know that he had killed CJ, like really killed CJ, and Warned was pissed off, and then it kind of everything came back together. Mainly because it would also be at this point where Warren finds religion. Like, probably a few days before that, Warren would be traveling, trying to get sniffers back to his place. He would accidentally kill one right around here somewhere. Right here. And the dragon-headed god would appear, which would lead him to want to defend the end more than anything. There were also these things called Ender keys, which were basically just special eyes of Ender. But this is where the dragon-headed god would first appear. They built this original cobblestone altar, and I have updated it since then. They named the god and everything. Like, technically, it wasn't even supposed to happen, but it did. But they would find the god, they would worship him, and that would end that bit of side lore right before the first episode that I ever recorded happened. So I'm gonna try and put this summary video right before that. But anyway, that's it. This is a long ass video. Let's end it. I hope you guys have a wonderful fucking day. And please try to enjoy yourself from now on. Anyway, goodbye.